Will India soon get one of the most powerful fighter jet engines in the world? India's biggest company, Reliance Industries, has announced a new partnership with British engine giant Rolls-Royce to develop and manufacture a sovereign indigenous combat engine for India's AMCA, or the fifth generation stealth fighter jet. Anant Ambani, the executive director of Reliance Industries, tied the move directly to India's national strategy, stating, quote, India's strategic autonomy requires sovereign capabilities and critical technologies. Our intent with Rolls-Royce is to combine their world-leading expertise in advanced propulsion with Reliance's technology, manufacturing, scale, and execution capabilities to build an indigenous aero engine ecosystem in India. In other words, India is not just looking at assembling a foreign fighter engine, but to build its own. For years, India's fighter fleet has depended heavily on foreign propulsion technologies and American engines, but all that could end real soon. So now Reliance and Rolls-Royce are establishing a dedicated aerospace gas turbine complex in India, a center for power and propulsion technology covering design, development, manufacturing, testing, production, and life cycle support. The key word is a sovereign indigenous combat engine for India's AMCA program, which means the IP rights and the ownership of the 120 kilonewton engine will remain in India. Now, Reliance and Rolls-Royce will explore setting up a dedicated aerospace gas turbine complex in India, a facility for power and propulsion technology covering everything from design and testing to manufacturing and long-term maintenance. The Rolls-Royce CEO called it a chance to combine century-long heritage in advanced engineering with Reliance's homegrown industrial leadership. Rolls-Royce was actually in the running earlier alongside GE and Safran of France for India's official engine partnership, but lost out when Defense Minister Rajnath Singh publicly named France's Safran as the chosen collaborator to develop the new engine back in August 2025. The partnership with Reliance draws on Rolls-Royce's long-standing ambition and interest in Indian defense market. Earlier, Rolls-Royce submitted a final bid to co-develop a 120 kilonewton class engine for the AMCA, offering 100 technology transfer to India and full Indian ownership of intellectual property with a timeline targeting production by 2036. But India doesn't want to buy a foreign-owned engine for the AMCA. It wants to build one with IP ownership. Hence, for Rolls-Royce, a partnership with India's Reliance is the only way to bag a mega engine deal with New Delhi. Now, the spark behind all this activity is simple. GE has not only delayed engines for the Tejas Mark 1A, but also reportedly tripled the asking price for the F414 engines needed for the Tejas Mark II program and also the first few squadrons of AMCA. So can India trust America going ahead? Every major Indian fighter jet today depends on foreign engines. The Tejas Mark 1 and Mark 1A fly on GE's F404 engine. The upcoming Tejas Mark II and AMCA initial squadrons are earmarked for the more powerful GE F414. And even France's Rafale jets relies on Safran's M88 engine. Our news report on Indian Air Force was ranking among the top 5 in Google News videos. I am Shobhit Mittal. Subscribe to Inconnect News for the most informative news content. Running alongside the Reliance Rolls-Royce move is an even further advanced deal, a joint venture between France's Safran and India's GTRE, or the Gas Turbine Research Establishment, which is a lab under the DRDO. This proposal has been sitting before the Cabinet Committee on Security. That deal is also likely to go ahead as a parallel government-approved project. So we could see two Indian engines in collaboration with one with Safran of France and the other with Rolls-Royce to compete for the AMCA engine project. For the AMCA Mark II, a turbofan engine is needed in between the 110 kilonewton to 130 kilonewton class. On top of that, there must be a planned growth path to further develop it to 140 kilonewton version for future 5th and 6th generation Indian fighter jets. The GTRE and Safran could also build up to 9 prototypes for testing and certification. This is a clean sheet design and not an adaptation of Safran's existing M88 engine, which is used on the Safran, but built specially to meet AMCA's stealth shaping requirements and modular enough to eventually also power the Navy's TED-BF, or the twin-engine deck-based fighter. The program will be worth 30,000 crore rupees. The technology package under negotiation covers mastering single crystal turbine blade casting, which enables blades to withstand extreme temperatures and stress. It's a key requirement for modern high-thrust engines. The program also emphasizes ceramic matrix composites, which allow engines to operate at higher temperatures while reducing the weight of the hot section. These material technologies are essential for meeting the targeted levels of thrust, efficiency, and durability. These systems regulate fuel flow, variable geometry components, and safety parameters in real time, helping optimize performance, reduce the pilot workload, and improve overall reliability. The engine is expected to be ready in nearly 10 years of design, core development, testing, prototyping, and certification. Meanwhile, first two squadrons of AMCA Mark I will fly on GE F414 engines as a stopgap solution. For scale, compare the target class to what India flies today. The GE F414 fitted on Tejas Mark II and AMCA Mark I is rated at 98 kilonewton afterburning thrust and nearly a 9:1 thrust-to-weight ratio. Now, the new Rolls-Royce or the Safran GTRE engine would be at 120 kilonewton class and would set well above that, around 22% more afterburning thrust than the American F414. India's AMCA prototype is planned to roll out by late 2027 or 28, with the first flight expected around 2028-29, and formal induction into the Indian Air Force is targeted for 2035. The Indian Ministry of Defence has shortlisted 3 private contenders to build the AMCA prototypes: Tata Advanced Systems Limited, an L&T-led consortium with BEL and Dynamatic Technologies, and a Bharat Forge-led consortium with BEML and Data Patterns. The third engine India is pursuing is the Kaveri 2.0, which could make a 40-year-old comeback. GTRE has now decoupled the Kaveri 2.0 from the heavier AMCA engine plans entirely. However, the Kaveri 2.0 could be developed in time for the mid-life upgrades of the Tejas Mark 1A and the newer Tejas Mark 2s. The Kaveri 2.0 is targeting 55 to 60 kilonewton dry thrust and 90 to 100 kilonewton wet thrust with afterburners, a band that would finally match the GE F404 engines currently flying on the Tejas Mark 1As. Thus, Kaveri 2.0 will help India avoid repeat costly orders of GE engines and risk further delays. Technically, GTRE is rebuilding the engine core from scratch, plus a new afterburner module developed with BrahMos Aerospace was tested under full afterburner conditions in February 2026, which was witnessed by India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in person. So put together, India now has 3 parallel fighter engine efforts running at once. Firstly, the new Reliance Rolls-Royce partnership, the new one. Second, the Safran GTRE's 120 kilonewton turbofan. And the third is Kaveri 2.0 for the Tejas. A modern fighter engine is among the most difficult technologies for any country to master. For a country like India, which manufactures its own aircraft carriers, nuclear submarines, tanks, and has landed a satellite on the moon, a fighter jet engine has eluded India thus far. But what do you believe? Will this wait end soon? Leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe to Inconnect News.